Imagine you're sitting at your desk, staring at your screen, feeling drained, but your boss keeps dangling that shiny bonus in front of you like a carrot. Sound familiar? We've all been there. It's the classic carrot and stick approach. Get your work done, and you'll be rewarded. But here's the thing. What if that carrot isn't actually helping you do better work? What if it's slowing you down? That's exactly what Daniel Pink explores in his book Drive. He argues that the traditional way we think about motivation is all wrong. The idea that dangling rewards like bonuses or threatening consequences will get people to perform at their best. Well, according to Pink, that's not how humans are wired, especially not in today's world. And the worst part? Many businesses, schools, and even individuals still operate as if this old-school method actually works. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. What really drives us, Pink says, is something much deeper, intrinsic motivation. That's the stuff that pushes us to do our best work. Not because we're getting a reward or avoiding a punishment, but because we actually care about the task, we want to get better at it, and we're part of something bigger than ourselves. It's like when you're working on a project that excites you, you don't need anyone to bribe you. You're in the zone, doing your thing, and it feels good. Now, why does this matter? Well, Pink's book could change how you think about motivation, for yourself, your team, or even your kids. He brings scientific evidence to the table that shows how relying on external rewards actually kills creativity and long-term satisfaction. When you're only working for a paycheck or the next promotion, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters and start feeling burned out. Pink is basically asking, why keep doing something that doesn't work when there's a better way? If you're a leader, educator, or just someone trying to be more productive, this book is a game changer. Leaders, you're going to want to hear this. When you understand what actually motivates people, you can create an environment where they're excited to show up every day, not just to chase after the next bonus. For teachers and educators, Pink's ideas can help you inspire your students to care about what they're learning, not just memorize it for the test. And if you're someone who's ever wondered how to find more meaning in your work, Pink's insights are about to flip your whole perspective. So, stick around because in the next few minutes we're going to dig into the science behind motivation, and I promise you'll walk away with some real aha moments that might just change how you approach everything from work to life. Ready? Let's dive in. In Chapter 1 of Drive, Daniel Pink introduces the concept of Motivation 3.0, which stands in stark contrast to the traditional carrot and stick approach that has dominated motivation theory for centuries. While the carrot and stick model, which Pink calls Motivation 2.0, is based on extrinsic rewards and punishments, Motivation 3.0 moves beyond that to focus on intrinsic drivers, forces that come from within. These intrinsic motivators are not only more effective but also lead to greater satisfaction and creativity in our work and lives. Pink identifies 3 key elements at the heart of Motivation 3.0: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy is the desire to direct our own lives, to have control over what we do and how we do it. This element is central to Motivation 3.0 because, according to Pink, human beings are hardwired to want freedom in their actions. We don't want to feel micromanaged or confined by rigid rules that stifle creativity. Instead, we seek environments that allow us to make decisions, solve problems, and shape our own paths. This is true whether we're working at a desk job, managing a project, or even teaching a class. When we feel that we have the freedom to make choices, we're more engaged, more creative, and more willing to take risks that lead to innovation. Think about your own work experiences. Have you ever been in a situation where someone hovered over you, telling you exactly what to do every step of the way? Chances are that felt frustrating and demotivating. Now contrast that with a time when you had the freedom to make decisions about how you would approach a task. Which experience energized you more? Autonomy doesn't just lead to greater satisfaction, it also drives performance. Research shows that when people are given the freedom to choose how to do their work, they are not only happier but more productive. Take, for example, companies like Google, which have famously implemented 20% time, allowing employees to spend 1 day a week working on projects of their own choosing. This initiative has led to the development of some of Google's most successful products, like Gmail and Google Maps. It's a clear example of how autonomy fosters creativity and drives innovation. People aren't motivated by rewards. They're motivated by the opportunity to work on something that excites them. In other words, they're driven by the ability to chart their own course, even if that path doesn't lead directly to a reward. The second key element of Motivation 3.0 is mastery, the desire to get better and better at something that matters. Mastery is about improvement and progress. It's the feeling that you're growing, learning, and developing skills in a way that feels meaningful. It's one of the most powerful intrinsic motivators, as people are naturally driven to improve at tasks they care about. When we engage in activities that challenge us but are within our capabilities, we enter a state of flow, a state where we are fully immersed and focused, and time seems to disappear. This is where we do our best work. But here's the catch. Mastery is not a destination. It's a journey. It's not about being the best. It's about the constant pursuit of improvement. Pink argues that mastery is one of the most powerful forces in human motivation because it taps into our deep desire to improve and to take on challenges that stretch us. This is where the Goldilocks rule comes into play, which states that we are most motivated when we are working on tasks that are just the right level of difficulty. Not too easy but not too hard. If a task is too easy, we get bored. If it's too hard, we get frustrated. The sweet spot is when we are challenged but have the skills and resources to meet that challenge. A great example of this comes from the world of sports. Think of an athlete training for a marathon. At first, the distance is daunting, but as they continue to train, they get stronger, faster, and more skilled. The progress they make, even in small increments, fuels their motivation to keep going. The same principle applies to any field, whether it's learning a new language, developing a musical skill, or mastering a new software tool. Mastery isn't just about getting better at a task. It's about the feeling that comes from making progress. The third element of Motivation 3.0 is purpose, the desire to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. Purpose is the driving force behind why we do what we do, not for money, fame, or status, but because our work serves a greater cause. When we feel that our actions contribute to something meaningful, we are more motivated, more engaged, and more willing to put in the effort. Pink argues that purpose is the ultimate motivator, and research supports this. People who feel connected to a greater purpose are happier, more satisfied with their work, and more productive. They are driven by the belief that their work makes a difference, whether it's helping others, contributing to a larger societal good, or advancing knowledge. Take the example of a non-profit organization working to alleviate poverty. The employees at such an organization are often not motivated by the financial rewards of their work. Instead, they are driven by a sense of purpose, the belief that they are making a positive impact on the world. This sense of purpose can be more motivating than any paycheck or incentive. Purpose-driven organizations, like Patagonia or Tom's Shoes, show how businesses can thrive by aligning their mission with something greater than just profit. When the purpose is clear, employees and customers are more likely to engage with the company, not just because of what it sells, but because of the larger mission it supports. Pink's argument is simple but profound. When we have autonomy in our work, the freedom to make decisions and chart our own course, when we are striving for mastery, constantly improving and challenging ourselves, and when our work is aligned with a deeper sense of purpose, we are motivated in ways that traditional rewards and punishments simply can't achieve. These three elements, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, are the keys to creating environments where people can thrive, not just perform. So, what does this mean for you? How can you use these principles in your own life, whether you're a manager, a teacher, or just someone looking to find more meaning in your work? The first step is to look at your own motivation. Do you feel that you have the autonomy to make decisions in your work? Are you growing and improving at what you do? And finally, do you see the larger purpose behind your work, beyond just the paycheck or the promotion? If not, it might be time to rethink how you approach your tasks and goals. As a manager, you can create an environment where people feel empowered to make decisions. Instead of micromanaging, offer your team the freedom to choose how they tackle projects. Allow them to grow by giving them opportunities to challenge themselves and develop new skills. And most importantly, connect their work to a larger purpose. Show them how their contributions make a real impact on the company and the world. When you do this, you'll see greater engagement, creativity, and performance. If you're an educator, Fostering autonomy can be as simple as giving students some control over their learning. Let them choose projects that interest them and encourage them to take ownership of their progress. By allowing them to strive for mastery in subjects that excite them, you'll spark their intrinsic motivation. And by connecting what they're learning to real-world issues and larger societal goals, you'll help them see the bigger picture, giving them a sense of purpose that will drive them to excel. For individuals, these principles can guide your career choices and personal development. Look for work that allows you to take ownership, where you can develop your skills and see your progress. Find a job or hobby that aligns with your values and connects to a larger purpose, something that makes you feel like you're contributing to the greater good. When you do, you'll find that work no longer feels like a chore, but something you're passionate about. Ultimately, Motivation 3.0 is about shifting our focus from external rewards to the intrinsic drivers that truly inspire us. It's about creating environments where people are not just working for the paycheck or the bonus, but because they're driven by the freedom to choose their path, the joy of mastering their craft, and the satisfaction of contributing to something greater than themselves. When we embrace autonomy, mastery, and purpose, we unlock a level of motivation that leads to greater performance, satisfaction, and creativity. And that's something we can all strive for. In Chapter 2 of Drive, Daniel Pink delves into the history of motivation, showing how the traditional carrot and stick model, what he calls Motivation 2.0, came to be and why it no longer works in the modern world. This chapter traces the origins of extrinsic motivation, where rewards like money and penalties for failure were used to push people to perform. While this system was effective for simple, repetitive tasks in an industrial age, it has proven inadequate for the complex, creative challenges of today's information economy. In this chapter, Pink explains why extrinsic rewards, while useful in some situations, ultimately fail to drive the kind of innovation, engagement, and fulfillment needed in modern workplaces. At its core, the traditional carrot and stick approach was designed to maximize efficiency in the industrial era. In the early 20th century, during the rise of mass production, companies like Ford and General Motors built systems based on the idea that employees could be motivated with external rewards, whether bonuses for productivity or penalties for mistakes. These rewards were seen as a way to boost output and ensure that workers performed the specific, often monotonous tasks that were required in factories. The principle behind this model was simple. If workers were given an incentive to complete their work, they would do so quickly and efficiently. In many ways, Motivation 2.0 worked well in its time. The industrial economy was largely focused on simple tasks, whether it was assembling car parts, managing a farm, or producing large quantities of goods. These tasks required minimal skill, and once employees learned the process, they could repeat it without much variation. The model of motivation based on rewards and punishments was perfect for this type of work. If a worker knew that performing a specific task would result in a bonus or recognition, they were likely to put in more effort to achieve the goal. Similarly, penalties for mistakes, whether they were fines, reprimands, or other consequences, created an environment where workers were motivated to avoid errors. However, as the economy shifted from industrial production to an information-based economy, the limitations of Motivation 2.0 became more apparent. As the workforce increasingly relied on cognitive skills and creativity rather than repetitive physical tasks, the extrinsic rewards that had once been so effective began to fail. In fields like technology, education, and the arts, employees were no longer simply performing mechanical tasks but were expected to think critically, innovate, and solve complex problems. For this kind of work, the carrot and stick approach wasn't just ineffective. It actively got in the way of the very creativity and motivation it was supposed to foster. Consider the field of software development. In the early days of the tech industry, companies like Microsoft and Apple were driven by a culture that rewarded employees with extrinsic incentives, bonuses, promotions, and recognition for hitting specific goals or completing projects. However, as the demand for creative innovation grew, it became clear that this traditional approach wasn't enough to inspire breakthrough ideas. In fact, it often led to burnout and disengagement. Workers who were simply chasing rewards were less likely to come up with creative solutions to problems. They were focused on the external rewards like bonuses or recognition, rather than being intrinsically motivated to tackle the problem in front of them. This shift in the economy from industrial to informational, required a new way of thinking about motivation. As companies began to value knowledge and creativity more than simple labor, it became clear that the best way to motivate employees was not by dangling rewards or threatening punishment. What employees needed, Pink argues, was the kind of intrinsic motivation that came from within, not from external factors. This realization is especially evident in companies like 3M and Google, which started experimenting with new ways of motivating their workers. These companies recognized that traditional extrinsic rewards often didn't lead to the creative breakthroughs they were hoping for. Instead, they began offering employees more autonomy, allowing them to choose their projects and work on what interested them. 3M famously implemented a policy called the 15% rule, which allowed employees to spend 15% of their time working on projects of their choosing. This autonomy led to the creation of groundbreaking products like the Post-it note. Similarly, Google's 20% time policy allowed engineers to dedicate a portion of their work hours to personal projects. This policy led to innovations like Gmail and Google Maps. These companies recognized that when employees had the freedom to pursue projects that excited them, the results were not only more innovative but also more satisfying for the workers. The shift from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation can be seen more broadly in the rise of the knowledge economy. This term refers to the increasing importance of intellectual capital, ideas, creativity, and expertise in driving economic growth. Unlike the industrial economy, where people were paid for their labor and the number of hours they worked, the information economy rewards people for their creativity, knowledge, and ability to solve problems. In this new economy, people's ability to think critically, innovate, and create is far more valuable than their ability to perform routine tasks. Motivation 2.0 simply isn't enough to inspire the kind of work required in this environment. For example, consider the work of an architect. Designing a building requires not only technical expertise but also creativity and problem-solving skills. Simply offering a bonus for completing a set of blueprints wouldn't inspire the level of innovation needed to create truly exceptional architecture. Architects are more likely to be motivated by the opportunity to work on projects that challenge them, allow them to grow their skills, and contribute to something greater than themselves. The motivation to create something meaningful, rather than just for a financial reward, fuels their best work. Pink emphasizes that while Motivation 2.0 can still work for simple, routine tasks, it doesn't work in situations that demand cognitive skills and creativity. Research supports this claim. Studies have shown that when people are given rewards for performing creative tasks, their performance often declines. This phenomenon, known as the overjustification effect, occurs when external rewards diminish intrinsic motivation. In other words, when we're given an external incentive for doing something we already enjoy, the reward can actually reduce our internal desire to do the task. The more we focus on external rewards, the less we focus on the task itself, which can hinder creativity and long-term motivation. For example, in a study conducted by psychologist Edward Deci, participants were given a puzzle to solve. Some participants were offered a financial reward for completing the puzzle, while others were not. The group that was promised a reward spent less time on the puzzle and performed worse than the group that wasn't given any external incentive. This study, along with many others, shows that external rewards can undermine the intrinsic motivation that drives us to do our best work. This is a major reason why traditional approaches to motivation, like those used in industrial organizations, fail in the modern world. As Pink points out, when tasks become more complex and require higher-order thinking, the old methods simply don't work. Instead of motivating people to produce their best work, rewards and punishments often limit their creativity and engagement. The economy has evolved, and so must our understanding of motivation. In the age of information, where cognitive skills and creativity are key, Motivation 2.0 is no longer enough. Pink argues that in order to thrive in this new environment, we need to shift our focus from extrinsic rewards and punishments to intrinsic motivators like autonomy, mastery, and purpose, concepts that will be explored in later chapters. The rise of Motivation 3.0, which is based on these intrinsic drivers, is essential for creating workplaces and environments where people are truly motivated to do their best work. For leaders and managers, This shift means moving away from the traditional carrot and stick model and embracing a new approach to motivation. It's about offering employees more control over their work, helping them improve their skills, and connecting their tasks to a larger sense of purpose. This doesn't mean that external rewards are entirely irrelevant. It just means that they should be used sparingly and in the right context. For tasks that require creativity and problem-solving, intrinsic motivators are far more effective. For educators, the lesson is similar. Instead of relying solely on grades or rewards to motivate students, teachers can foster a learning environment that encourages autonomy, promotes mastery, and connects lessons to real-world applications that give students a sense of purpose. When students feel that their learning is meaningful and relevant to their lives, they are far more likely to engage with the material and succeed. Ultimately, the fall of Motivation 2.0 is a call to rethink how we approach motivation. In a world that demands creativity, problem-solving, and innovation, extrinsic rewards are not enough. We need to cultivate intrinsic motivation that comes from within. Only then will we be able to unlock the full potential of individuals and organizations alike. By embracing the principles of Motivation 3.0, we can create environments where people are truly motivated to do their best work, not just for the reward, but because they are driven by the work itself. In Chapter 3 of Drive, Daniel Pink explores one of the most powerful drivers of human motivation: autonomy. Pink argues that autonomy, the ability to direct our own lives, is a fundamental human need. This drive for autonomy is a key component of Motivation 3.0, which challenges the traditional carrot and stick approach to motivation. Pink emphasizes that when people have control over how they do their work, they are more engaged, more productive, and more creative. The sense of autonomy fosters a deeper connection to our work and encourages us to take ownership of our tasks in a way that external rewards simply cannot replicate. At the heart of Pink's argument is the idea that autonomy is not just a luxury, but a necessity for today's workforce. When employees have the freedom to decide how to approach their tasks, when they can choose their methods, tools, and sometimes even their working hours, they tend to feel more responsible for the outcomes of their work. This sense of ownership leads to higher motivation and more initiative. People are more likely to go the extra mile when they feel that their decisions and actions are their own. This shift from being told what to do to choosing how to do it is at the core of intrinsic motivation. To illustrate the power of autonomy, consider the growing trend of flexible work arrangements. Many modern companies have adopted policies that allow employees to set their own schedules or work remotely. The shift toward flexibility is rooted in the understanding that when people have more control over when and where they work, they experience less stress and greater job satisfaction. Studies show that employees who have control over their work environment tend to be more engaged and less likely to burn out. Take the example of a software company that gives its developers the freedom to choose their own hours or work from home. When employees are given this kind of autonomy, they are often more productive, come up with more creative solutions, and feel more committed to the company's mission. But it's not just about when or where we work, it's also about how we work. The ability to choose the methods and tools we use to accomplish tasks is equally important. For example, a manager might give an employee a goal, such as increasing sales, but leave the specifics of how to achieve that goal up to the individual. This approach allows the employee to experiment with different strategies, techniques, and even collaborate with others in ways they believe will be most effective. When employees feel trusted to find their own path to success, they are more likely to bring their full creative energy to the task. They will look for innovative ways to solve problems, taking ownership of the results and feeling proud of their achievements. Autonomy, in this sense, fuels innovation. Pink also highlights that autonomy has been shown to increase job satisfaction, especially in knowledge-based industries. Knowledge workers, such as software engineers, designers, and scientists, often thrive when they are given the freedom to explore new ideas, work on projects that interest them, and collaborate with others in their own way. Consider the example of 3M, which implemented a policy of giving its employees 15% of their work time to pursue projects of their choosing. This policy led to the creation of some of the company's most successful products, including the Post-it note. The freedom to choose the direction of their work didn't just make employees happier. It led to greater innovation and tangible results. The research backs up Pink's argument. Numerous studies have found that people who are given autonomy are more motivated, more satisfied, and more productive. In one experiment, participants were divided into two groups. One group was given a task with very specific instructions and limited freedom, while the other group had more control over how they completed the task. The group with more autonomy performed better, showed greater creativity, and were more satisfied with their work. This demonstrates the simple truth that when people have the freedom to choose how they do their work, they are more likely to produce better outcomes. One of the most telling examples of the power of autonomy comes from the world of technology startups. These companies are known for their flat organizational structures, where employees are given more freedom to make decisions and contribute to the company's direction. In contrast to traditional corporate hierarchies, where employees are often required to follow strict protocols and report to multiple levels of management, startups often emphasize a culture of autonomy and self-direction. This autonomy is not just a perk. It's a strategic decision that allows employees to take ownership of their projects, innovate more freely, and respond quickly to changes in the market. Take, for example, the success of companies like Google and Facebook. These tech giants have embraced the principle of autonomy in their work culture. Google's famous 20% time policy allows employees to dedicate a portion of their workweek to projects of their own choosing. This freedom has led to some of the company's most iconic products, such as Gmail and Google News. By giving employees the autonomy to explore their own ideas, Google has fostered a culture of innovation that drives its success. Similarly, Facebook's emphasis on a decentralized structure gives employees the freedom to pursue projects, collaborate with different teams, and experiment with new ideas. This autonomy has been a key factor in the company's rapid growth and continuous innovation. The power of autonomy extends beyond large corporations. It's also evident in smaller, more creative organizations. For example, in the world of advertising, agencies that allow employees to work more independently often see higher levels of creativity and collaboration. When employees are given the freedom to choose how they approach a campaign or a project, they tend to take more risks, explore new ideas, and push the boundaries of what's possible. This leads to more innovative and impactful work, which ultimately benefits the company and its clients. In industries where creativity is a competitive advantage, autonomy is not just a motivator, it's a necessity. But autonomy doesn't just benefit employees or companies, it also has a profound impact on the individuals themselves. Pink argues that autonomy leads to greater personal fulfillment because it gives people a sense of control over their lives. When we have the freedom to choose how we spend our time and how we approach our work, we feel more empowered. This sense of control boosts our self-esteem and gives us a sense of ownership over our outcomes. People are more likely to feel motivated when they believe they are in charge of their own destinies. This empowerment fuels not only productivity but also happiness. It's no wonder that autonomy is consistently linked to higher levels of job satisfaction and lower levels of stress. Despite all the benefits of autonomy, Pink acknowledges that it can be challenging to implement in certain environments. For example, in jobs where there are strict safety regulations or where certain procedures must be followed, it may not always be possible to give employees complete freedom. However, even in these situations, there are ways to build autonomy into the work process. Instead of micromanaging every aspect of an employee's job, managers can focus on providing employees with the freedom to make decisions within the boundaries of the job. By giving workers some control over the decisions they make, even in highly structured environments, managers can increase motivation and job satisfaction. For instance, in healthcare settings, where strict protocols and procedures are necessary, doctors and nurses can still be given autonomy in how they approach patient care. Rather than following rigid, one-size-fits-all instructions, healthcare workers can be encouraged to use their professional judgment and expertise to determine the best course of action for each patient. By giving them the freedom to apply their knowledge in ways they see fit, healthcare organizations can foster a greater sense of ownership and pride in the work that staff members do. This, in turn, leads to better patient outcomes and greater employee satisfaction. The key takeaway from this chapter is that autonomy is not just a nice-to-have element in the workplace. It's a critical driver of motivation and performance. People are more engaged, more creative, and more productive when they have the freedom to choose how they do their work. Autonomy allows people to take ownership of their tasks, experiment with new ideas, and contribute to their work in meaningful ways. Organizations that embrace autonomy not only see better results but also create a more satisfied and motivated workforce. Leaders, managers, and educators can all benefit from understanding the importance of autonomy and incorporating it into their work environments. By doing so, they can inspire greater performance, creativity, and fulfillment in their teams. In Chapter 4 of Drive, Daniel Pink dives into the second of the 3 key elements of motivation: mastery. This drive for mastery is an intrinsic force that propels us forward, making us eager to get better at something that matters to us. Pink explains that mastery is not about achieving perfection, but about the pursuit of continuous improvement. It's about pushing ourselves to be a little better today than we were yesterday, and finding satisfaction in the progress we make along the way. Mastery isn't just about the end goal. It's about enjoying the process of becoming better at something meaningful. It's a mindset, a lifelong journey of growth. The quest for mastery is one of the most powerful motivators we have. Whether we're learning a musical instrument, improving our skills in a sport, or getting better at a craft, the desire to improve is a deeply human instinct. Pink emphasizes that mastery is not a one-time achievement. It's about embracing the challenge of constant improvement. It's what makes us continue to work at something even when we're not immediately rewarded for our efforts. People are most motivated when they're on a path of constant learning and progress, making incremental improvements along the way. Mastery, therefore, is an ongoing process that fuels our passion for what we do. Consider the example of someone learning to play the guitar. At the beginning, every chord feels like a challenge, and the progress is slow. But over time, as the person practices and refines their skills, they begin to see significant improvements. The process of getting better, the small wins and the growing confidence keeps them motivated. The act of mastering something, of improving each day, provides its own reward. This is the essence of mastery. The progress itself becomes a powerful motivator. It's not about being the best, but about becoming better and finding joy in the journey of self-improvement. Pink also introduces a crucial concept in understanding mastery: the Goldilocks rule. This rule states that in order to stay engaged and motivated, the tasks we face must be challenging enough to push us, but not so difficult that we become overwhelmed. The Goldilocks rule is based on the idea that we are most motivated when we are operating at the edge of our abilities, where things are just hard enough to keep us engaged, but not so hard that we become frustrated. It's that sweet spot between boredom and burnout, where the task is challenging, but still within our reach. This rule is often illustrated in examples of athletes and musicians. Take, for example, a basketball player who is practicing free throws. If the shots are too easy, the player becomes bored and loses motivation. But if the shots are too difficult, say, from a spot far beyond their ability, the player becomes frustrated and gives up. However, if the player practices shots that are just a bit outside their comfort zone, they will be engaged and motivated to keep improving. This principle applies to nearly any area of life. Whether we're learning a new skill, pursuing a career goal, or even trying to improve our physical fitness, the challenge must be calibrated to our current abilities in order to keep us motivated. One of the most striking examples of the Goldilocks rule in action is the concept of deliberate practice. This type of practice involves pushing ourselves just beyond our current capabilities, continually testing our limits, and refining our skills through focused, intentional effort. Deliberate practice is what sets experts apart from novices. It's not just about repeating the same tasks over and over. It's about identifying areas for improvement, working on them, and gradually building new skills. In sports, for instance, an athlete might focus on improving their technique in a specific area, say their footwork in tennis, by practicing with a coach who pushes them just beyond their current level. The challenge is neither too easy nor too difficult. It's a carefully crafted challenge that leads to continuous improvement. The Goldilocks rule also applies to the workplace. Pink explains that employees are more motivated when they are given tasks that stretch their abilities, but are not so far beyond their reach that they become discouraged. In fact, Organizations that understand the Goldilocks rule are able to create an environment where employees are continually improving and growing. This is why many high-performing teams are composed of individuals who are constantly learning from each other and pushing each other to improve. In these environments, people feel engaged and motivated because they are always working at the edge of their capabilities, mastering new skills and overcoming new challenges. In the business world, this concept can be applied to employee development and performance. Leaders who understand the Goldilocks rule know that it's important to give employees opportunities to grow, but also to make sure that the challenges are manageable. By offering tasks that require employees to stretch their abilities, while also providing the support and resources they need to succeed, companies can foster a culture of mastery. Employees will feel engaged and motivated because they are constantly working on things that matter and are not too easy or too overwhelming. This not only leads to higher productivity but also to greater job satisfaction and personal fulfillment. An important insight Pink offers is that the pursuit of mastery requires a combination of patience and persistence. It's not something that happens overnight. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to endure the inevitable setbacks that come with learning. Mastery isn't about a single moment of success. It's about the long-term journey of continuous improvement. This is why it's so crucial to set realistic expectations for ourselves and others. We must be willing to put in the time and effort necessary to improve, even when progress feels slow. Pink also points out that mastery is deeply connected to our sense of purpose. When we are working on something that truly matters to us, we are more likely to stick with it, even in the face of challenges. This sense of purpose fuels our desire for mastery and keeps us going when the going gets tough. It's no coincidence that some of the most successful people in the world are deeply passionate about their work. They are driven not by external rewards but by the satisfaction they get from becoming better at something that truly matters. Whether it's a scientist working on a groundbreaking discovery or an artist perfecting their craft, the pursuit of mastery is driven by the intrinsic motivation to improve and excel in something meaningful. The connection between mastery and motivation is also evident in the educational world. Teachers who create an environment where students are encouraged to strive for mastery, rather than simply perform tasks for grades, can foster a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. When students understand that the goal is not just to finish an assignment, but to truly master the material, they are more likely to engage with the content, take ownership of their learning, and pursue excellence. This mindset shift, from focusing on grades to focusing on mastery, can transform the educational experience and help students develop a lifelong passion for learning. In summary, mastery is about the relentless pursuit of improvement. It's about pushing ourselves to be better, to learn more, and to grow continuously. The Goldilocks rule shows us that we are most motivated when we are operating at the sweet spot of challenge. Not too easy, but not too difficult either. Mastery isn't just about achieving perfection. It's about enjoying the process of getting better, embracing the challenge, and finding joy in the incremental progress. Whether we're pursuing personal goals, professional development, or academic success, mastery is a powerful motivator that leads to greater satisfaction, creativity, and fulfillment. The key takeaway from this chapter is that mastery is a mindset. It's about the journey of continuous improvement, and the more we embrace that journey, the more motivated and engaged we become. In Chapter 5 of Drive, Daniel Pink tackles the third and final element of motivation: purpose. While autonomy and mastery are crucial for fostering engagement and creativity, purpose, our desire to do something meaningful and contribute to something larger than ourselves, is what ultimately sustains long-term motivation. Pink explores the profound impact that having a clear sense of purpose can have on individuals and organizations alike. He argues that people are not just motivated by the tasks they perform, but by the meaning and larger significance they attach to their work. When we feel that what we're doing has a positive impact on the world or contributes to a greater cause, our motivation becomes more intrinsic, more lasting, and more powerful. At the heart of the concept of purpose is the idea that people want to feel that their work matters. It's not just about earning a paycheck or meeting a quota. It's about contributing to something that transcends individual self-interest. People are naturally driven by the need to be part of something bigger than themselves. This is why purpose-driven organizations often see greater levels of engagement, creativity, and innovation from their employees. When workers feel that their efforts are connected to a greater mission, whether it's improving society, advancing technology, or making the world a better place, they are more likely to invest themselves fully in their work. It's not about external rewards or recognition, but about the fulfillment that comes from knowing that what you're doing is important. Pink illustrates this point by highlighting examples of purpose-driven companies that have successfully aligned their missions with broader societal goals. One prime example is Patagonia, the outdoor clothing brand known for its commitment to environmental sustainability. Patagonia's mission is clear: to build the best products while causing no unnecessary harm and using business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. This strong sense of purpose resonates deeply with the company's employees, who are more motivated to come to work because they feel they are part of something meaningful. Their work is not just about selling clothes. It's about contributing to a cause that matters on a global scale. As a result, Patagonia enjoys high levels of employee engagement, creativity, and loyalty. This sense of purpose is a driving force behind the company's success, and it fosters an environment where people are passionate about their work and motivated to perform at their best. Another powerful example of purpose in action is Tom's, the shoe company that operates on a one-for-one model. For every pair of shoes purchased, Tom's donates a pair to a child in need. This mission of social good has become a core part of Tom's identity and resonates with both employees and customers alike. Employees at Tom's are not just motivated by their salary or job title. They are motivated by the knowledge that their work is directly contributing to a better world. The company's sense of purpose drives innovation, creativity, and a commitment to excellence. And as a result, Tom's has created a successful business that not only makes a profit, but also makes a positive impact on the world. These examples show that purpose-driven organizations foster greater engagement and creativity because employees feel they are part of something larger than themselves. Purpose provides a sense of direction and meaning, and it taps into our intrinsic desire to make a difference. When people believe that their work has a higher purpose, they are more likely to go the extra mile, to put in the effort, and to be creative in finding solutions to challenges. This sense of purpose is not just a nice-to-have factor. It's a fundamental driver of motivation and success. In fact, Pink argues that purpose is one of the most powerful motivators because it taps into our deep-seated need to feel that our actions have meaning. Pink also points out that organizations that embrace purpose-driven leadership are often more successful in attracting top talent and retaining employees. When companies are clear about their mission and the values they stand for, they attract individuals who are passionate about the same causes and who want to contribute to something meaningful. This alignment of values between the organization and its employees leads to higher levels of job satisfaction, increased productivity, and greater innovation. People who feel that their work aligns with their personal values are more likely to stay with an organization for the long term. They are less likely to burn out because they are motivated by something deeper than external rewards. Purpose becomes a driving force that sustains their commitment and passion, even in the face of challenges. In contrast, organizations that lack a clear sense of purpose often struggle to engage and motivate their employees. When the work feels meaningless or disconnected from a larger mission, employees can become disengaged, less creative, and less productive. Without a compelling purpose, workers may begin to see their jobs as just a means to an end, an opportunity to collect a paycheck rather than a chance to make a difference. This lack of purpose can lead to burnout, high turnover rates, and low morale. It's no surprise, then, that many organizations that fail to embrace purpose-driven leadership also struggle with innovation and creativity. When people don't feel like their work matters, they are less likely to invest their time and energy into finding new ideas and solutions. Pink also explores how purpose-driven work contributes to individual well-being. When people are able to connect their personal values with their work, they experience a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction that goes beyond monetary rewards. Studies have shown that people who find purpose in their work are happier, healthier, and more engaged in their personal lives. They experience less stress and are more likely to feel a sense of meaning in their daily lives. This connection between purpose and well-being is why it's so important for organizations to foster a sense of purpose in their employees. It's not just about getting people to work harder. It's about creating an environment where people feel that their work is making a positive impact on the world. This deeper sense of fulfillment leads to a more motivated and productive workforce. Pink highlights that the rise of the knowledge economy has made purpose even more important. In today's world, work is increasingly based on cognitive skills, creativity, and problem-solving. As a result, people are looking for work that is not just financially rewarding, but also intellectually and emotionally fulfilling. Purpose provides the intellectual and emotional fuel that drives motivation in this new economy. Workers want to feel that they are contributing to something meaningful, whether it's solving a complex problem, creating a product that improves people's lives, or making a positive impact on society. This shift in the nature of work has made purpose an even more crucial element of motivation. Pink also discusses the idea of purpose beyond profit, which is becoming increasingly important for companies that want to stay competitive in the long term. Purpose-driven organizations are more likely to build strong relationships with customers, employees, and communities. Customers today are more likely to choose products and services from companies that align with their values and contribute to a greater cause. Employees, too, are more likely to stay with companies that share their personal values and offer them the opportunity to contribute to something meaningful. In an age where people are seeking deeper connections with the brands they support and the organizations they work for, purpose has become a key differentiator in the marketplace. Companies that embrace purpose-driven leadership are not only more successful in attracting top talent, but they also enjoy greater customer loyalty and stronger brand reputation. In conclusion, purpose is one of the most powerful motivators because it taps into our desire to contribute to something larger than ourselves. When people feel that their work is meaningful and aligned with a greater mission, they are more engaged, creative, and motivated. Purpose-driven organizations foster a culture of innovation, engagement, and loyalty because they provide employees with a sense of direction and fulfillment. Whether it's a company like Patagonia, Tom's, or any other organization with a clear sense of mission, purpose is the driving force that sustains motivation and leads to long-term success. The key takeaway from this chapter is that purpose is not just a nice-to-have. It's a fundamental human need that can transform both individuals and organizations. When we work with purpose, we unlock our highest potential and make a lasting impact on the world around us. In Chapter 6 of Drive, Daniel Pink introduces two distinct types of behaviors that individuals exhibit, Type 1 and Type X. These two types are a way to categorize the motivations driving people's actions, and they have profound implications for both personal fulfillment and organizational success. Type 1 behavior is intrinsically motivated, meaning individuals are driven by internal desires, such as the satisfaction of solving a problem, mastering a skill, or contributing to a meaningful cause. In contrast, Type X behavior is extrinsically motivated, where individuals are primarily driven by external rewards like money, status, or avoiding punishment. Pink argues that, for modern workplaces, especially those requiring creativity and problem-solving, Type 1 behavior is far superior and more sustainable than Type X. At the heart of this distinction is the idea that Type 1 individuals, motivated by intrinsic factors, are more innovative, productive, and happy. These are the people who are not just working for a paycheck, but because they enjoy the work itself, they find meaning in it, and they want to continuously improve. Pink explains that the key difference between Type 1 and Type X lies not in the work being done, but in the mindset of the person doing it. Type 1 individuals are intrinsically motivated. They are driven by the joy of the process, the pursuit of mastery, and the sense of purpose that their work brings. For them, the rewards are not external, but come from the satisfaction of solving problems, learning new things, and making progress toward a goal that aligns with their values. On the other hand, Type X individuals are primarily driven by external rewards and recognition. They are motivated by bonuses, promotions, or fear of negative consequences. Their sense of accomplishment is tied to the tangible rewards they receive for completing tasks. While this can drive performance in the short term, it often leads to burnout, disengagement, and a lack of long-term fulfillment. Pink points out that the problem with type X behavior, especially in complex or creative work, is that it can actually undermine motivation over time. When rewards are removed or fail to meet expectations, the motivation to continue the work diminishes. Type X individuals can become complacent, relying on the external stimulus to keep them going, which often leads to a lack of innovation and creativity. To illustrate this, Pink cites the example of a study conducted on mathematicians. The study found that when the participants were given financial rewards for solving problems, their performance was lower than when they weren't offered any rewards at all. This result aligns with Pink's argument that for tasks requiring deep thinking, problem-solving, and creativity, intrinsic motivation is far more powerful than extrinsic rewards. The mathematicians who were driven by their passion for the work, who found enjoyment in solving complex problems for the sake of learning and discovery, were more successful than those motivated by the promise of external rewards. This same principle applies to other creative fields, where the desire to improve, to create, and to contribute to a larger mission can fuel greater success than the lure of money or recognition. Pink emphasizes that this distinction between Type 1 and Type X is especially relevant in today's economy. As the economy shifts from industrial production to information and knowledge work, the need for intrinsic motivation becomes even more pronounced. Knowledge work requires creativity, collaboration, and problem-solving, skills that are nurtured by intrinsic motivation. Type 1 individuals are naturally predisposed to thrive in this environment, while Type X individuals may struggle with the demands of the modern workplace, where the tasks often require more than just rote repetition or simple rule following. But here's the crucial part. Organizations have the power to shape the type of motivation that drives their employees. Pink argues that workplaces should strive to cultivate Type 1 behaviors driven by autonomy, mastery, and purpose. By doing so, they can unlock the full potential of their workforce. Organizations that foster an environment where employees have the freedom to make decisions, the opportunity to improve their skills, and a clear sense of purpose are more likely to see higher levels of innovation, productivity, and job satisfaction. One of the key ways to cultivate Type 1 behavior in employees is by offering autonomy. Pink has already discussed how autonomy is one of the 3 essential elements of motivation in earlier chapters, but it bears repeating here. When employees are given the freedom to choose how they do their work, they feel more ownership over the process and outcomes. They are more likely to take risks, experiment with new ideas, and find creative solutions. Autonomy leads to a sense of empowerment, which is a critical factor in fostering intrinsic motivation. Another way to foster Type 1 behavior is by providing opportunities for mastery. People want to get better at what they do. It's part of our human nature. Type 1 individuals are motivated by the desire to improve their skills, tackle new challenges, and achieve a sense of competence. Organizations that provide employees with opportunities for growth, whether through training, mentorship, or meaningful challenges, are nurturing the kind of motivation that drives excellence. By helping employees become experts in their fields, organizations create an environment where people are motivated to push themselves, innovate, and continually improve. Lastly, creating a sense of purpose is crucial. When employees feel that their work is connected to something larger than themselves, they are more likely to be intrinsically motivated. The most successful organizations are those that have a strong sense of mission, one that goes beyond profits or personal gain. Pink points to companies like Google and Whole Foods, which emphasize the importance of contributing to a greater cause. For Google, it's about organizing the world's information and making it universally accessible and useful. For Whole Foods, it's about promoting health and well-being through high-quality, sustainable food. When employees are aligned with these larger missions, they are more motivated to contribute their best work, and they derive satisfaction not just from the work itself, but from knowing that it serves a greater purpose. So, what does this mean for individuals who want to be more like Type 1? The first step is to focus on intrinsic sources of motivation. Instead of relying on external rewards like bonuses or accolades, cultivate a mindset that values the process of learning, the satisfaction of problem solving, and the fulfillment that comes from contributing to something meaningful. This may involve identifying what truly excites and energizes you in your work and seeking out opportunities to engage in activities that align with your values. For example, if you're a designer, find projects that challenge you to push the boundaries of your creativity. If you're an educator, focus on the joy of helping students understand complex concepts rather than simply aiming for good evaluations. It's also important to create an environment that supports Type 1 behavior. If you're a manager or leader, encourage autonomy in your team members. Give them the freedom to experiment, to make decisions, and to approach problems in their own way. Provide opportunities for growth, whether it's through new challenges, learning opportunities, or leadership roles. Most importantly, connect the work to a larger purpose. Make sure your team understands how their contributions are making a difference, whether it's in the company's mission, the community, or the world at large. Pink closes this chapter by reiterating that while Type X behavior may be effective in the short term, particularly for simple, repetitive tasks, it is Type 1 behavior that drives long-term success. Type 1 individuals are not only more innovative, productive, and happy, but they also experience greater satisfaction in their work. When people are intrinsically motivated, they are more likely to be engaged, creative, and willing to take risks. This makes them better equipped to tackle complex problems and navigate the challenges of today's fast-changing economy. To summarize, organizations and individuals alike should focus on cultivating Type 1 behaviors. By prioritizing autonomy, mastery, and purpose, we can unlock the intrinsic motivation that drives creativity, productivity, and long-term success. For those working in environments where extrinsic rewards are the primary motivator, it's essential to understand the limitations of this approach and consider ways to foster a more intrinsic, sustainable form of motivation. The takeaway here is clear. When people are motivated by a sense of purpose, the desire to improve, and the freedom to shape their work, they are more likely to perform at their best and thrive in an increasingly complex world. So, let's wrap this up with the big picture. Daniel Pink, in his book Drive, essentially flips the script on how we think about motivation. You know how most of us grew up hearing that the way to get someone to do their best work was to throw a reward in their face or dangle a threat over their head. Here's a gold star if you do this. Or if you don't finish this by Friday, you're in trouble. That was Motivation 2.0, the old-school carrot-and-stick way of doing things. Pink, though, says this whole system is outdated and really doesn't cut it in today's world. What he's advocating for is something totally different, something he calls Motivation 3.0. Picture this. It's the 21st century, and we're not just dealing with robots who can follow instructions like clockwork. We're working with humans who need to think, be creative, and solve problems. When you throw a bunch of rewards and punishments at them, the result isn't pretty. People get burned out, disengaged, and their creativity flatlines. Instead, Pink argues we need to focus on three things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Here's why this matters. Think about a job you've had in the past, or maybe one you have now. Was it one where you had some say in how you did your work? Or did someone else call the shots all the time? When you get to make choices and control your work, don't you feel more invested in it? That's autonomy in action. Then, think about something you've worked on that made you feel really good when you finished it, something you actually improved at. That's mastery, the drive to get better at something meaningful. And finally, think about when you've worked on something and knew it mattered, not just to you but to others, to the world. That's purpose, the big picture reason behind the work you're doing. Now, this isn't just a theory Pink's throwing out there. He's done his homework, and the evidence backs him up. People are more engaged, more creative, and more productive when they have autonomy over their work, when they can develop their skills, and when they feel like their work is contributing to something greater. It's like when you're working on a passion project. It's hard to stop, right? You're not doing it for the paycheck or for anyone else's approval. You're doing it because it matters to you. That's the magic of intrinsic motivation. But how do we make this happen? Pink doesn't just leave us hanging. He gives us practical ways to implement these ideas in different areas of life. In the workplace, for example, bosses don't need to constantly be breathing down your neck with deadlines and rewards. Instead, they can step back and give employees the freedom to decide how they tackle their tasks. Let them be the ones to figure out the best way to do things. When they take ownership of their work, they'll naturally feel more connected to it and do better work. And it's not just about letting people do whatever they want. You can also give them room to grow, help them master new skills, and give them a clear sense of why their work matters. When employees feel like their work has meaning, they're far more likely to bring their best selves to the job. But this isn't just for the workplace. Imagine if schools used these principles too. Teachers, instead of telling students exactly what to do every step of the way, could give them the freedom to explore and learn in a way that suits them. Students could choose their projects, take ownership of their learning, and see how it contributes to society in a real, tangible way. This would create an environment where learning isn't a chore but something exciting, a chance to grow and discover new things. When students understand how their learning connects to the bigger picture, they're more likely to engage with it fully, not just do the minimum to pass a test. And then, on a personal level, think about how you can use these principles in your own life. Do you have a job or a hobby that gives you autonomy? If not, what's something you could do to take control of your own path? Could you seek out work that aligns with your passions? Something where you're in charge of how things get done? Mastery is another one. Maybe you've been putting off learning something new because it feels too challenging. What if you took a small step, just one little thing, to get better at it? That pursuit of growth is what keeps you motivated and moving forward. And then, think about the bigger picture. What's your purpose? How does your work or your passions fit into something larger than yourself? Maybe it's a cause you believe in, or simply making life a little better for the people around you. When you tie your actions to that deeper meaning, your motivation will soar. The magic happens when we start creating environments, whether at work, in the classroom, or in our personal lives, that cater to autonomy, mastery, and purpose. It's about giving people the space to grow, the freedom to choose, and the understanding that their work matters. This doesn't just make people feel good. It actually makes them more productive, more engaged, and more successful. It's the difference between just doing a job and doing something that makes a real impact. And the benefits aren't just theoretical. Leaders in businesses, for example, will see huge payoffs when they start creating work environments that support these elements of motivation. When employees feel in control, when they're improving at something that matters, and when they see the impact of their work, they're more likely to bring their best ideas to the table. They're more likely to go the extra mile, to think outside the box, and to stick around longer, too. Employees who are intrinsically motivated are happier, more engaged, and more loyal to the organization. For employees, the results are just as powerful. When we feel a sense of ownership in our work, when we're constantly improving and facing meaningful challenges, and when we understand how what we do serves a larger purpose, we're not just showing up to collect a paycheck. We're doing work that excites us, that fulfills us, and that gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning. When we feel these things, our performance skyrockets, and our satisfaction with life improves. And let's not forget about educators. When teachers embrace these principles in the classroom, they create an environment where students don't just learn, they thrive. Students who have the autonomy to explore their interests, who are pushed to master new skills, and who see the bigger purpose behind their education will be more engaged and motivated. They'll be more creative, more critical in their thinking, and more passionate about the things they're learning. For creatives and knowledge workers, this is especially crucial. If you're working in a field that requires constant learning, problem-solving, and innovation, the only way to stay motivated in the long run is to make sure your work aligns with your passions and values. When you're intrinsically motivated, you don't just do the bare minimum. You go above and beyond, coming up with fresh ideas and creative solutions because you care about what you're doing. So, in the end, Pink's message is clear. We need to move away from the outdated carrot and stick approach and embrace a new model of motivation that's based on autonomy, mastery, and purpose. When we focus on these elements, we can unlock a level of creativity, engagement, and productivity that just can't be achieved through external rewards and punishments. Whether you're a leader, an employee, an educator, or someone looking to find more fulfillment in your personal life, this approach will help you, and the people around you, thrive.